Welcome back to Tied Down TV, the punk rock opinion show with me, Geoff.
I'm Danny.
And today we're picking 5 underrated hardcore bands. So, thinking about it, not a definitive
No, it's not a top 5.
Yeah, not
it's just
the
5.
top
What we
5,
think are 5 underrated.
Yeah.
There's always going to be more than 5, isn't there?
Loads, isn't there? Let's be honest, there's probably tons. And I've kind of picked a couple of older ones and a couple of more recent bands that I don't feel get a mention.
I've picked bands that I feel, and I think the word underrated is relative anyway, because they might be underrated in England or where we live.
Yeah.
But in their hometown, they might be the fucking biggest thing ever. You could go to a band's hometown in America or wherever, or wherever you pick a band, and say to, kids over there, oh, fucking hell, and they go, what? They don't get talking. I spoke about the legendary, do you know what I mean? So it's kind of relative, isn't it, really?
Of course it is, yeah.
But I pick bands that I think, for the particular maybe genre or subgenre of hardcore they fit in, I think they deserve maybe a bigger legacy than what they've got.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I've based it on. I don't hear people talking about these bands as much as maybe I think they deserve to be.
Pretty much. Same, yeah. Like I say, a couple of mine ones, 3 of them aren't active anymore, 2 of them are active and fairly recent bands.
Yeah.
That I just don't feel get a mention, but
yeah.
That's enough rambling, I think.
Yeah.
So should we get to it? So, first pick for me. So I've gone One Last Wish. So I know some of you probably think I ain't got One Last Wish. Loads of people know who they are. Yeah, they do. Obviously quite famous. So they formed in '86, DC band, Brendan Canty, Guy Picciotto and Edward Janey of Rites of Spring. And obviously Brendan and Guy ended up in Fugazi as well. So after Rites of Spring finished, they got, I think, is it Michael Hampton, who was the guitarist from The Faith and Embrace. And they did this band, One Last Wish. Existed for a short period of time. I think it was like less than a year, May 86-ish time, split by 87. Went in Ear Studios and recorded a bunch of tracks and then split up. And Discord decided not to release the album, the 12-inch, because they were getting a reputation at the time of being a band, being a label that released stuff by bands who had already split up.
Yeah.
So they shelved it. It eventually got released in 1999, and it is fucking brilliant, fucking amazing. It's melodic. It's like Rites of Spring, more melodic, definitely. I think
I do enjoy it too.
I just think it's great. I think that the songs like My Better Half, it's so good, so much melody. And the reason I think it's underrated as a band, should I say, is because if that had been released when it was recorded, late '86, early '87, around just after Revolution Summer, it would have fit right in with all that. I think it'd be talked about now in the same breath as Rites of Spring, Embrace, the Revolution Summer bands, the beginning of emo, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, as I say, they're a known band, obviously, and obviously I was going to pick at least one Discord band. I probably could have picked 5 Discord underrated bands, but anyway, as I say, One Last Wish, check it out. Maybe Rites of Spring's a bit too noisy for you. This is a more melodic version of that.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing.
The first band that came to my mind when I think about underrated hardcore bands is this band. I've picked a band I've been into for a very long time, going back years, and that's Baltimore's Gut Instinct. Now, when I said at the beginning that I think it's quite relative, now these guys are underrated in the sense that I never hear people talking about them, like, you know what I mean? But they've obviously got a pretty big legacy, because I know how influential they were in Baltimore. Right. They've been, they influenced the likes of Stout, Trapped Under Ice, Next Step Up, all them like heavyweight Baltimore hardcore bands were influenced directly by Gut Instinct. But when you speak to your average like hardcore guy, I feel like not enough people know Gut Instinct for how great the songs are. They're really well written, brilliant lyrics, brilliant vocals, brilliant music. I think what might have helped maybe holds them back in terms of how well known all they ever released was a 7-inch and a couple of demos. So it's very, very small amount of material they released, but everything they've released is absolutely amazing. Disturbing the Peace 7-inch came out in 1990, which is the only official release.
Okay.
So I also think what they suffered from as well is, given their sound, the fact they don't come from New York.
Right.
Now, if they were from New York, they'd have been tied in with Breakdown and Icemen and bands like that. And I got into these, quite early on, just by fluke. Someone recommended us. I was going through a distro at a gig. Oh, mate, check that out. You'll like that. It was the re-release of Disturbing, the P7-inch, and my old band even covered one of the songs off it, Rat Bastard. So, Gut Instinct have been in my life for a very, very long time, and I was listening to them today just to have a little recap on them, and I was just thinking, what a brilliant band these are. It's like chuggy hardcore, tough, but they can get political at times, but not too much. It's just really good, tough New York style hardcore. But obviously, with them, I don't know if it was maybe they're from Baltimore. Maybe they'd be they'd be a bit more well known if they were in with that group of New York bands, because they do have that sound.
Oh, okay.
But still very influential with the bands that came after them. But I just think more people should check Gut Instinct out, because I honestly, for me, well, they're in my top 5. If I had to pick a top 5 hardcore bands of all time, Gut Instinct would be in it. That's how much I love them.
Claim. Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so pick number 2 for me. So I've gone, this is the most recent band. So this is a band called Thought Control. They're from New Jersey. So they came out around 2020. They released a 7-inch, Shock to the System. And it's all recorded by one dude, John Kay. He goes by. Fucking amazing. Just like a throwback to proper classic sound and American hardcore. Just like hardcore punk, you know what I mean? And eventually, obviously, they got a band, a full band. And I think they've done, I want to say 3 or 4 7-inches now. I've heard 3 of them anyway. There's another one I haven't heard it yet. But all of them fucking amazing. I've not heard anyone talk about them really, at all. As obviously they're quite a current band. I'm not saying they should be called an all-time classic necessarily, but I'm saying currently right now, for me, they're one of the bands.
Yeah, I agree. You don't hear them talked about much by people, but I do see their records popping up every now and then, on sites and that.
I picked it up on the way. Yeah. I hadn't heard it. Saw that 7-inch, that first one, Shock to the System, I think online a couple of years ago. Got hold of it, thought fucking wow, this is great. And just went from there. And I'm not currently, I'd say, they're probably definitely one of my more listened to recent hardcore bands. So, like I say, if you look, I'll tell you what I did see actually to a review, and he said they're not reinventing the wheel, they're just taking the wheel and they're throwing it into the middle of the road and having a good time doing it, kind of thing. And I thought, that's kind of cool. It's not nothing you haven't heard before, but it's done fucking well. Yeah, I suppose is the best way to say it. But they're a really good band anyway. Thought Control, go check them out.
That set me up pretty nicely for my next pick. So you say they're a band that haven't reinvented the wheel. That probably describes my next band pretty well. I've gone for Minute Major from Queens, New York. It's kind of funny, about a band like Killing Time. Everyone loves Killing Time. Their sound isn't too far away from that. Okay, it's kind of that straight up New York sound. You never hear anyone talk about 5 Minute Major.
I don't know who they are really.
Honestly, right. So the album When It Ends was released in 2000. They've been around obviously quite a bit before that as well. They come from the same crew as Everybody Gets Hurt and One Second Thought, who are also, I believe, quite an underrated band as well. But 5 Minute Major, I think, are a band you never hear anyone talk about, and that album's absolutely brilliant. Okay, really good, straight up, kind of tough New York hardcore, real tough stuff. Sort of. Yeah, really good kind of thing. I wouldn't say out now, beat downy as such, but it's just got that kind of New York tough guy sound to it, and it's a real fucking. That When It Ends album's so good, and I got it in a job lot years ago. I just bought a job lot of someone. It was in there, and I was just like, oh my, this is fucking brilliant. And then I found that, and they're from Queens, and it's just that my name written all over it. Do you know what I mean? And they're just one of them bands you never hear anyone talking about them. And I check that album out, because if you're into that type of stuff, there's no reason you won't absolutely love it. 5 Minute Major.
Excellent. Okay, so pick number 3 for me. I've gone for Swallowing Shit. Now, Swallowing Shit is fairly short-lived, couple of years, I think, 3 years. They formed about 94. They're from Winnipeg in Manitoba, which is in Canada. It's just fast fucking hardcore, grindcore, power violence, call it what you will. It's amazing. They released 2 7-inches, I think, and maybe there's probably a demo as well, I think, but the 2 7-inches are outstanding. Got put on a compilation which was released on G7 Welcoming Committee Records, which, if you know, is run by the guys Chris from Propaganda and a few other people. And the classic sort of swallowing shit lineup that did the second 7-inch, I believe, had Todd Kowalski, who went on to play bass for Propaganda, still does to this day. It's just it's outstanding. I absolutely love this band. And again, when we were talking about it, this was weirdly, even though I loved them and I'd been listening to them fairly recently, again, when we were talking about underrated hardcore bands, this did not come into my head until a couple of days ago. I was like, why haven't I picked a fucking swallowing shit all day?
Yeah.
Honestly, out of the 5 bands I picked, they're probably one of my favourites out of them all. Fucking amazing. If you're not aware of them, definitely go and check them out. I'm pretty sure they're on the streaming. If you just want some like proper fast, grindcore, like say Power Violence, just fast hardcore punk, this is the shit right there. It's fucking amazing. Go and check that out.
I feel like this list is a proper Danny core list here. Really, now I'm looking at this, but my next pick is a band from New Jersey called Second to None. Again, I feel like a lot of people don't really talk about Second to None, but they were obviously influential to a lot of bands, especially our Ruction bands.
Okay.
Famously, 6 Foot Ditch did a cover of Victimised. Released their album Defeat in '99 on Cartel, which released a lot of great stuff at the time. But they also, as well, did that amazing split record with E-Town Concrete, New Jersey Brotherhood on Back to Basics Records. Now, any of our more long-time viewers might remember that record was the infamous Cursed record I mentioned. Yeah. I've never been able to find a copy. I've had 3 copies of it and all of them have been fucking defective. But they've just got this is tough guy hardcore at its most fucking, problematic, maybe, if you want to put it that way. But it was my thing, man. It was my thing, and it is that kind of stuff that like people do. Oh, recommend me some of that stuff, Dan. You know that shit quite well. Like, and it's like they're one band who everyone knows. Quite a lot of people know E-Town Concrete. They got pretty massive, but Second to None were fucking amazing. And that album was great. Defeat, it was really good. It was really hard to get. I managed to track one down, but it took me quite a lot of years, to be fair, to find one, and I managed to get one in mint condition.
Nice.
So, but yeah, if the main guy Joe, I think, ended up spending some time in Shattered Realm.
Nice.
I think he was the guitarist for a bit in Shattered Realm. And I remember him performing. 6 Foot Ditch played with Shattered Realm in Manchester, and he was there.
Oh, cool.
And he played Victimised with them, and that was fucking cool.
Amazing.
That was.
That's very cool.
Yeah, but Second to None from New Jersey. Did I say they're from New Jersey?
I
New
think
Jersey.
Yeah, cool.
So
Nice.
Second to None.
Nice. So pick number 4 for me. So I've gone for a New York hardcore band. So another more modern one, Warthog. So Warthog, I came across this band a year-ish, maybe a year and a half ago. And I was like, fucking hell, this is really fucking good. Like, I had a little look into them, and seen they've been around for like the last 12 so years at least. First demo I think came out in 2012, as far as I could see. Don't know a lot about them, and honestly, the bits that I read, they said that like they don't tour frequently. They put out like a 7-inch every year or every other year. I've got a couple of them. They're fucking amazing. Like, so good. New York hardcore. It's not like beatdown hardcore. It's just like New York hardcore punk. Do you know what I mean? Like, side to side. You know what I mean when I say side to side? That, fucking amazing. Again, like I said about Thought Control, one of my more sort of favourite modern hardcore bands. And I've not really heard anybody sort of talk about them.
Yeah.
And I haven't even heard their name until I came across them randomly. I think online about like year and a half ago, and it's fucking great. And like I say, they've got about 3, 4, 5, 7 inches out there, a couple of demos. They're on Bandcamp. I think they're on Spotify as well. In fact, they definitely are. I think that's where I heard them. But like I say, just fucking great. Again, New York hardcore. Just fucking go and check them out.
Yeah.
Warthog.
Yeah. Seattle's got a history of straight edge bands, really influential straight edge bands, going back to the Brotherhood in the 80s and stuff like that. And some of them are like, there's a few underrated, like Undertow, for instance. I think I'm really underrated. They got there's a couple of overrated, like someone like Champion, for instance. That I believe that they were huge for a while. I think they were overrated myself. You know what I mean?
I'd be inclined.
You know what I mean?
With that.
They were overrated, but the band I've picked, Seattle straight edge band I've picked, isn't Undertow, even though I think they're massively underrated. I've gone for the band Trial. So formed in 95, released the Darkest Days EP in 96 and the Foundation EP in 97. You talk about the 90s youth crew revival and you know, bands like In My Eyes and Floor Punch and 10 Yard Fight and Bane and stuff like that. And I just think Trial, I think they're really, really underrated. Do you know what I mean? Like, again, what I said earlier about these bands might be quite well known. Mm-hmm. You know, it might have their just
depending on where you
yeah. Like if I was in Seattle, all the Seattle kids probably say, "Oh, Trial are legendary." Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't really hear anyone really talking about Trial. Mm-hmm. You know, straight edge kids or hardcore kids in general. And I've got, you know, all their releases, and I think they're absolutely amazing straight edge hardcore band from the 90s. Mm-hmm. The song "This Is Not a Trend" is a brilliant straight edge anthem. I think, like, I really do think it's a real anthem. You know, a real fucking anthem.
Yeah.
If you're straight edge and you want to hear a real fucking, that's exactly how I feel. Mm-hmm. That's exactly how I fucking feel. If you're a young kid or you've got your mates don't understand. You've got the peer pressure. Have a drink. You know, listen to "This Is Not a Trend" by Trial. It'll get you pumped up. But yeah, they're a band I don't think gets spoke about. I think they're a really underrated band from the 90s, Trials, from Seattle.
Nice. So last pick for me, I've gone back to DC. I've gone for Artificial Peace.
And these are definitely underrated.
Underrated as hell. Yeah. But I know why. I suppose they didn't really release anything other than they were on the three tracks are on Flex Your Head. However, I will make the point that the Untouchables have only got 3 tracks on Flex Your Head, and I think the Untouchables are rated quite highly, rightly so, fucking amazing. Like Sonic Youth did a cover of an Untouchables song. No fucker talks about Artificial Peace.
Yeah.
The actual full sessions didn't get released till 2010, I think. And
brilliant sessions.
It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
It's amazing. Mm. Like retrospectively, even if you just look back at that and you think, wow, yeah, but it never even got a release or anything. You know, they split up, and a few of them went on to Marginal Man, who I also still think are a little bit underrated in the wider conversation of hardcore from America. So melodic. Artificial Peace again, just straight up like hardcore punk in it. That DC, it's fucking awesome, and you can pick up the sessions on vinyl. I think you get them on CD as well. Worth getting, like I say. I think they just got buried on that Flex Your Head comp and maybe just never stood out above a few of the other bands, some of the bigger ones that were on there. But I think they like I say, retrospectively need to be looked at and think, fucking hell, yeah, they were another absolutely class DC band to come out of there.
I agree totally with you on them, because I remember hearing the sessions and being like, wow.
And correct me if I'm wrong, was it not in my car a year or two ago when it came on and you were like, what's this?
No, I did them a lot longer before then.
Okay. That was something else.
Yeah. No, and I was like, I heard Artificial Peace the first time, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, no one talks about these on Discord.
No
one.
Not
and I was like, you know what I mean? It would have been on Flex Your Head, probably the first time I heard them. Yeah, I had Flex Your Head many years ago.
But that's what I mean. Even people who've heard that maybe don't talk about them. Like I said, the Untouchables get talked about because Alec Mackay obviously fronted them when he was in The Faith, etc. Ian's brother. These just kind of just don't get a mention, and I feel like they fucking should.
It's like I compare it a little bit to SOA, actually, a little bit. SOA
highly underrated.
Don't get spoke about, probably because Rollins obviously went into Black Flag, but that No Policy EP is the best thing that I think is on that Flex Your Head thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I honestly, it's my favourite thing on there is the SOA, and I think even he's a little bit he doesn't even talk about.
He doesn't talk about it.
No, he doesn't talk about SOA either. But I think Artificial Peace are a band. It's kind of like they remind me of SOA, where out of all them Discord bands,
they don't seem to get the mention.
They should be spoken about a bit more.
Yeah, 100%. And that's I'd say I picked them and fucking amazing. Yeah, great band. Definitely check them out.
The last choice I've had for this particular list, I'm upping up the testosterone again. Sorry guys. We will do like an episode on beatdown bands at some point, whether some people are obviously not going to be into it, but we will get around to it at some point. But in the 90s, beatdown hardcore, I think it's an underrated genre. It's because it's got a lot of problematic opinions about it. It's kickboxing came from there, rightly or wrongly. I'm not into crowd killing. I think it's stupid, right? But the music itself, I think in the 90s, the 90s beatdown bands had the spirit of hardcore. I've said this before.
Yeah.
A lot of the bands that are here now playing hardcore, you can tell a lot of them bands have not listened to these bands that I refer to. A lot of the there's some obviously that they play, they're really good modern beatdown. But there's a lot of bands out there now you hear. You can tell they haven't listened to the early pioneers of beatdown, because to me it just sounds like death metal. But I'm talking about obviously Bulldoze, mentioned them before, Denied, Next Step Up, bands like that, No Retreat. There's a lot of them. One Second Thought. But one band I think out of this lot that is as good and has released a record as good as all of these bands is a band from Connecticut called 2x4. Now, in 1998, they released an absolute juggernaut of an EP called Ain't to Be Fucked With. This is fucking some of the toughest beatdown shit you've ever heard in your life, and I put it up there with, the final beatdown. I put it up there with Together As None. Wow. It is that fucking good, and it was also released on Cartel, same as Second to None, that was previously mentioned before. I don't have one, so if anyone has got one out there, he wants to try and hook me up with one. As a copy of it. Tom O'Brien mentioned he had one. He's fucking disappeared since this. He told me he had a spare one. So yeah, Tom, if you've still got that spare Ain't to Be Fucked With, I want it. So yeah, but 2x4, kids, if you're out there and you want some good fucking beatdown hardcore from the golden age of it, 2x4. They also have got a brilliant split with Wartime Manor on Back to Basics. Just a little end note on this list, I actually think Back to Basics is the most underrated record label in hardcore. It sometimes gets a bad rep because it's obviously Rick to Life's label. I'm not going to lay into Rick to Life at all, because I actually think his label released some of the best EP splits ever. Like, honestly, I think Back to Basics, that little period in the 90s, it just released gold. Some of it was cheaply done, and you can tell. But fucking hell, it was real. For a while, everything he was releasing was fucking brilliant.
That's cool.
And but yeah, back to 2x4. They released a split of Wartime Manor, but they got one release, one sole release of theirs, a 7-inch released in '98 called Ain't to Be Fucked With. And you need to give it a listen if you like that classic beatdown hardcore, and you will not be disappointed. And again, like Denied, Bulldoze, all them, they're probably the ones I hear spoken about the least. And going back to what I said about Gut Instinct, I think it might be because they're not from New York. It's because they're not from the coast. I think they're from Connecticut, and I just think if they were from New York, they'd be seen as legends of it. Mm-hmm. Maybe they are in their in their own scene. Yeah, but when I speak to like people who have got even a taste for beatdown, not many of them talk about 2x4. Okay. But they're as far as beatdown goes, it's really up there, that record.
Nice. Cool. That's our list, Dan.
That's our list.
So yeah, well, let us know yours. Who do you think's underrated? And don't forget and like and subscribe. Ring the bell for some notifications. Socials, Instagram, Facebook, all that. Give us a like, a follow. Send us a message. Give us a comment. See you next time. Next one!